Kia ora, good evening. Invercargill's inner city is set to get a more than $12 million upgrade, with city councillors last night approving the inner city revitalisation master plan recommended by the Inner City Working Committee.
The inner city upgrade was passed by council last night, with the cost of the upgrade having almost doubled from its initial estimated cost, now expected to be in the region of $12.2 million. Around half a dozen people submitted to council last night in opposition to the plans, with roading changes the major concern. 7 councillors voted in favour of moving ahead with the upgrade, with 5 opposed. Among proposed projects, family and youth open spaces, a marketplace site, roading changes and more community facilities. At last night's meeting, it was decided to move ahead with plans to narrow D and Tay streets as a trial, with safety cited as the main reason for doing so. Local businessman Neil Thomas had submitted a 1,000-strong petition to council opposing the proposal and says he's disappointed council decided to proceed. He says he's pleased Transit will undertake the trial and hopes it will be done at a busy time to show how it copes with peak traffic volume. Youth One Stop Shop number 10 may also be affected by the upgrade plans, and councillors said if the organisation has to move, another location will be found. It was also decided not to wait to undertake earthquake assessments of buildings before starting the upgrade. No date was given last night as to when work on the staged upgrade could begin.
New Zealand's economic recovery is strengthening, largely on the back of domestic momentum, particularly in Auckland and Christchurch. That's according to the latest quarterly prediction from the New Zealand Institute of Economic Research, which also says growing domestic and global risks blot an otherwise positive outlook. Rapidly rising house prices in Auckland are a risk, and if new steps to cool demand don't work, then the Reserve Bank may need to raise interest rates. The report says inflation is low and global risks are still high. Slowing growth in China and Australia are most pressing. Recent volatility in emerging markets requires close watching. Kando Fishing Limited was fined just over $88,000 in the Invercargill District Court yesterday after being found guilty on 17 charges relating to the disposal of wastewater from its Kinner processing plant in Bluff. The 17 charges relate to incidents that occurred between February and December 2011 following abatement and infringement notices by Environment Southland. A storage tank was positioned on land next to a channel which led directly to Fovo Strait. Environment Southland Compliance Manager Simon Mapp says Kando Fishing Limited has since connected to a system that takes the wastewater to an appropriate treatment plant. Police are still investigating burglaries at 2 Invercargill pubs in the last week. The Southland and the Newfield taverns were both broken into at the weekend. Sarah Bedford spoke to Detective Sergeant Stu Harvey.
We're just working through some forensic evidence and also just some information that we've been receiving, and we're just looking for suspects in regard to both matters.
Can you give me an idea of what you might be looking for in terms of a suspect?
We believe that both offences are linked, and it's just now a matter of finding out who's responsible for them.
Now, at the time of the incidents, just close to the weekend there, police were asking other business owners to keep an eye out for any tampering with their alarm systems. Has there been any issues there?
No, I'm not aware of any other burglaries where alarms have been tampered with. The 2 from the Southland and the Newfield seem to be isolated incidents.
Is there a concern that perhaps these offenders or offender may strike again?
There's always concern that offenders of this nature will strike again, but our major concern is just with burglaries in general, and it's a serious crime which we just want to prevent from happening.
Now, in terms of domestic burglaries, there has been a substantial rise in the number of burglaries that we've been seeing over the past month. Has that trend started to slow at this point?
No, not at this time. For the last 2 months, burglaries in Invercargill have increased substantially. We believe that there's a number of different people and groups involved in this, and it's not just 1 or 2 groups. So we're putting into action a few plans around identifying those people, and we also clearly want to look at preventing these burglaries from occurring as well.
Is there a message for the public in this?
There certainly is. We just need to take the normal precautions of locking and securing your house at night and during the daytime. Also, garden sheds or any other sheds around the house need to be secured. And also, if anyone sees any suspicious activity, they just need to report it straight away.
Now, from a police perspective, what are you doing to try and bring down the number of problems?
We've got some extra staff involved now in investigating some of these cases. We do have a number of suspects named on burglaries, so we've got people working on that to try and get these people apprehended.
Now, something else that you've asked is for the public to be more careful in securing their properties. I understand that around half of the burglaries that we've had have been at properties that weren't secured.
It's been estimated that approximately 61% of burglaries in Invercargill over the last 2 months have occurred where houses and sheds haven't been locked. This is just easy money for people out there that want to take stuff.
What are the main items that are being targeted in these burglaries?
There's a wide variety of property being taken, but there is a particular rise in stolen laptops, electronic material, and also TV sets are now becoming very popular. I just urge people that if they hear of anyone trying to sell these types of items, to contact the police as soon as possible.
After the break, a very different kind of neighbourhood watch is set to start in the south. Welcome back. A joint possum control operation is underway in the Catlins area to protect farmed cattle and deer from bovine tuberculosis. The Department of Conservation and TB Free New Zealand are working together over the next few days to cover some 38,000 hectares with a 1080 aerial drop to support ground-based control in the area using traps and hand-laid toxins. Covering private and public land, it's hoped the operation will control this exploding rat population that's threatening the endangered native mohua and other native species. The area will have warning signs stating which toxin's been used and will be out of bounds for pets until signs are officially removed. Milford Road has now fully reopened, with rockfall having meant closures and disruptions for several months. The Milford Road from the Homer Tunnel through to Milford Sound was closed for 31 days from May 23rd due to unstable rock posing a safety risk. The road reopened during the day only from June 10th, but is now operational 24/7. The closures had been in place due to rockfall risk at the western entrance to the Homer Tunnel. NZTA Southland Area Manager Peter Robinson says having the road fully open is great news for visitors, tour operators and the wider community. The majority of landowners are being good neighbours, taking control of pest plants, gorse and broom seriously, but there are still issues in some urban Southland towns. Environment Southland Senior Biosecurity Officer Randall Milne says vacant land and property owned by absentee landlords are often catalysts for the spread of the pest weeds. ES is starting its annual Good Neighbour program next week, asking the public to clean up or report any instances of gorse or broom in urban areas. Regular inspection programs by biodiversity staff help control gorse and broom levels. If landowners don't remove the pest plants, compliance can be enforced at the landowner's expense.
The idea behind the urban gorse and broom program is really just get people to be good neighbours and keep their properties clear of these pest plants and not affect their neighbours.
Why are gorse and broom such a problem?
Well, they're so widespread in the region. There's prolific seeders. Their seeds last for a long time in the ground and they just constantly regrow. So property owners really have to keep on top of them each year to ensure that they don't affect their neighbours.
And Environment Southland's out there checking up on that.
Yeah, we run a program each year of checking the urban town for gorse and broom.
And if people aren't complying with getting rid of it, what's the next step with that?
Yeah, so we'll carry out our inspections and then give people a period of time to do the work themselves, and then we can take the enforcement action and issue a notice of direction. And if they still don't choose not to do the work, then we'll carry out the work on their behalf and charge them for it.
And what sort of costs are they going to be faced with if it comes to that?
Yeah, they're faced with the costs of control plus also administration fee of $100 and plus our time and vehicle costs.
How often does it get into that point in Southland?
Oh, not very often. We try to work with landowners, get them to do the work themselves, but every now and then we have to step in and carry out this default work.
Government has issued a discussion document looking at the option of flexible superannuation. It looks at giving New Zealanders the choice of taking super at a reduced rate earlier than 65, for example from 60, or take it at a higher rate if they take it after 65. I asked Southerners for their opinions.
I'd like to keep working and take it later.
More flexibility in that for you?
Well, you got to work longer, you stay healthy longer. If you retire, things don't go well.
I don't know. A lot of people prefer to work till they're 70. I think I would. Yeah.
Well, if you're not able to work and you're going to get less money, that just seems wrong as well. I think that the government's got it back the front. Really, if somebody's fit and healthy and able to work, then they should get less later on. Like, if you're not well and you can't work, why give them less? I mean, they're going to need other things. They're going to need walkers and extra help around the house and things like that. They're going to have to fund that.
I don't know, I guess by the time people are 70 they can't really work, can they? I don't know, I reckon 60 would be a good age. Yeah, because a lot of people are still quite unfit by 60 and can't work.
No, I think take it out. Still too much life in you at 65 to give up. Far too much.
So what are you suggesting?
Take it out to 70.
For me personally, I don't think I'll be able to work that long because I've got unis. It depends on the person really, how their health is. Yes, I think. But personally, I wouldn't be able to work till that, till 70.
I think it should stay as it is.
Why?
Well, I don't want less at 60 and then have to wait even longer, a lot longer for more at 70. I may not be alive then.
What happens to the people who are covered by an insurance company for an illness and suddenly the retirement age becomes 60 instead of 65? How does Mr Dunn plan to compensate them for loss of earnings, because they'll get massive loss of earnings?
But it's not means tested in that sense. The pension currently isn't means tested.
No, the pension's not means tested, but these people are on a payment until they reach retirement age. Now, if the government plays with the retirement and says, you can retire at a lower level back here, are the insurance companies then going to turn around and force these people onto it?
And that's it from news. Coming up in sport, Joseph Romanos talks All Black Rugby, the Ranfurly Shield, the US Tennis Open and the World Athletics Championships. From the news team, good night.